Remember, the last session, we um, talked about how we form a research project, which we had like three major steps. The first major step was to do a planning and design of your research, which includes uh, choosing your study area, which is the big picture, the big area, uh, the general scientific area that you want to work on, which depends on your expertise, your interest, your supervisor's interest as well. And then in that area, you need to study various books and survey papers so that you can find out the most important issue. What's challenging, what's the most important and most critical challenge in that um, particular research area, study area. For that challenge, then you need to uh, define a problem or a topic or a title and prepare a proposal for it. So that's the first step, which is the planning and the design, just reviewing what we talked about. The second step will be your research execution. The start of the second step, you need to plan uh, on how to implement your proposal. You need to create a system under test. So whatever the system will be, some of you may choose to do simulations. Then you need to have a simulator at hand so that you can create your simulated system in the simulator and run your algorithm there. You may need to do data collection from like data sets or from places depending on your project, and then feed the data to your simulation environment and or your real environment if it's a real system. Okay, so Hussein is saying that you don't have voice. Can anybody hear me? How is my voice? Is it clear? And okay, so Ahmad, you hear me, but is my voice clear? Okay, all right. So Hussein, probably it's your internet connection that makes my voice noisy. Hussein Ali Sabih, internet to check. Okay, so after the second step, which is like after you collect your results, your okay, collect your results and form them, put them in a particular format. You need to go and analyze your results and extract some patterns or some conclusions from the data that you collected, the results that the tests that you ran, and the results that you collected. And that will be the base of your research report. And then you need to reflect the results in the report. The report has multiple sections to it depending on the type of the report, which is whether it's a paper, a thesis, a technical report, or any other type of presentation. It could be your defense oral exam, which is in the form of maybe a PowerPoint presentation. It could be a conference presentation. It could be a real demo of your tests. So you need to prepare your system, whether it's a hardware system or software. you need to present it to the examiners. So that's another type of reflecting the results. And then finally, analyzing those results for the examiners. Okay, so that report may be publishable. For example, a paper or technical article that could be published in a journal or a conference, or your thesis that is published by your university on the website or somewhere that the university indicates for you. Okay, so let's go next. Starting the research. We talked about this last time, probably. I'm not 100% sure, but I think we maybe briefly talked about this. That the first step is to define the problem and find the solutions for it. You need to consult with your supervisor, which is supposed to be an experienced researcher, and to examine your idea to find out whether that idea could be applied to the systems that you define. And then you need to define some research questions for which you need to provide an answer. For example, let's have a look at this problem here. So the problem that we are looking at right now is high text data volume and network transfer times in databases. So we have a database, a particular database, maybe like MySQL, and the problem that we have is that the text data has a huge volume, and the network transfer times are tremendous. You cannot bear, your system cannot effectively work with so much data being transferred over the network. So you have a database connected to a network, and you have a server that needs to transfer data from the database to the server. The problem is that the text data has a huge volume. So that's our problem. The objective of our research is to find a way, so the objective here in the second line. The objective of our research, I will mark it with red. Then, given the problem, the objective is to reduce data volume and network transfer time. We could limit our objective only to the network transfer time, or to the reducing the data volume, or both. So here we have two distinct objectives. They could be related. Obviously, if you reduce the volume of the data, the network transfer time will go down. But at the same time, you may keep the data volume and don't reduce it, but still use some methods to improve your network transfer time. Okay, so that's the objective. We need to define our objectives. The objectives are those that will solve the problem if we reach them. So we have to define a number of items, a number of goals or objectives. If we reach those objectives, your problem is solved. So the set of objectives that you define need to be comprehensive, in the sense that all the objectives, when they are reached, your problem should be completely solved. Alright, now that we know what we want to do, we want to reduce data volume and we need to reduce network transfer time in a particular database. We need to start to do some experiments. So the experiments that we want to do should be in the experiments that test some data access times, like network transfer times or data query times. And we need to provide an idea on how to reduce them. Say, for example, my idea to reduce data volume is to use compression. Why would I go for compression? Because I have text data. I know that text data can be compressed well. Okay? So I think compression is a good idea. I say, okay, my database is slow and my data volume is high. Then I think about it, I find out that, okay, because text is well compressible, if I compress the data before sending it over the network, the volume is reduced, so it takes less space on the database and it reaches the database faster. So I can actually get to my both objectives by compressing the data. So that's my method. My method to solve the problem and to reach my objectives is to compress the text data so that I can reduce its volume. For that purpose, I need to do some initial experiments, like real experiments. I need to measure data access query times in two cases, with compression and without compression. Why? Because I want to see the effect of compression on data access times. Whether compression will reduce the data access times or not. Well, of course, at the beginning, everybody says yes, it will, because it sounds like a good idea. But you need to go into real experiments to make sure that it works, and also to find the extent of its capabilities. Okay? Alright. So, one of the big challenges that we have in defining a research, like your thesis, is to correctly identify the problem. We have a notion of issue, we have a notion of problem, and they're different. Sometimes you feel something is wrong, like accessing the database is slow. That's an issue. That's called an issue. But you don't know why that is happening. You don't know why a database is slow in access. When you go deep inside it, you find out that, okay, the reason for slow database access is that its network connection is slow. Then your problem will become slow network connection causing slow data access. Therefore, it is very important. It's the most vital part of your research. Be very careful about this. Problem identification, finding the problem, is the most vital part of your research, because if you don't identify the correct problem, you cannot create the correct solution to it. If you identify the problem wrong, for example, if the issue with the database is not its network connection, the issue is its disk speed. Even if you increase the speed of the network twice or thrice or multiple times, because you didn't improve your disk speed, because the bottleneck is the disk, you went the wrong way. You improved the network, improvement didn't get reflected to your to your objective, which was improving the database speed, database access time, because you did not identify the problem correctly. You thought the problem is a slow network, but the problem was a slow disk. All right. Once you precisely define the problem, you need to highlight the significance of the problem. Why is this problem important? You need to tell the reader, whether it's your supervisor or examiner or any other reader who reads your proposal, reads your thesis, doesn't matter, any writing, scientific writing, that your problem is very important. Your problem is, maybe it's the only problem that you need to solve right now, and you need to set aside all other work to work on this problem. If you don't solve the problem, there will be a disaster, but with evidence. For example, as for the case that we were just talking about, the slow database, you can say, okay, if we use this database in an application because it's slow, the application speed will come down by like 5 times, and it's not a good idea because we cannot run many applications using this database, and this application and that application are unusable on this kind of database, and so forth. You can even bring statistics from other sources, statistics from various reliable sources to tell, for example, that MySQL database is used worldwide. It's used in so many projects and tools and applications. For that purpose, it's a very famous and important database. So improving its access time, improving its data access time will be helpful for so many users. And you bring numbers. Bringing numbers here to highlight the significance of the problem is very important. For example, you can say, okay, MySQL is being used in hundreds of millions of machines around the world, and its speed will affect hundreds of millions of people who are using the MySQL database. The second part, so it's the significance of the problem. You essentially need to highlight the problem. Another thing that you need to highlight is to highlight the need to new research. You must say the reasons that existing research is not sufficient. Therefore, you need to fully read and study existing works that are related to your topic. See what other people have done to improve MySQL's database speed, and tell, okay, they have done this and that, but it has not worked, or it is not enough. Therefore, we need to do new research. We need to work on other methods to improve this, to improve the objectives of the research. Okay? All right. One of the important tools and methods to actually highlight the importance, the significance of the problem is to bring motivational examples. You should search in the internet, read books, and analyze statistics, existing statistics, to bring up analysis, bring up examples with particular analysis, so that you convince your reader that the problem is important. These examples could be must be related to your research area and appropriate for the research purposes. You can use money figures, economic figures, and like other stimulants to convince the reader that your problem is important. For example, we were talking about the MySQL database and its slow access. By the way, MySQL is not slow. I'm just bringing that up as an example. Just an example, like a very synthetic example. Okay. One of the good motivational examples or statistics that we can bring up is the number of users using MySQL database. I mean, it might not be a very accurate figure, but it could be helpful. MySQL is very popular. Therefore, there might be some statistics somewhere to tell how many MySQL servers out there. Okay. How is that important? Because when you say, okay, 10 million or millions of servers around the globe use MySQL, then the reader will say, okay, you are addressing a problem in a community with the size of tens of millions. It means that without extra so it tells you that it tells the reader essentially that with investing in improving MySQL, you can essentially improve the overall performance of tens of millions of servers around the world, and the entire world will feel the improvements that you suggested for this type of server. So that's a monetary example, economic example. Let's bring up another example. Any questions? Okay. Okay. Let's see if we have this. Okay. Let's see if we have this paragraph in our proposals, how it can help motivate the people. I'll read through it. Statistics show that inefficient cloud scheduling accounts for 25% of cloud energy consumption. Okay, so it says that 25% of energy consumed in a cloud comes from inefficient scheduling of jobs. It's a huge number. So if I can improve cloud scheduling, I can improve this efficiency by, say, 75%, will reduce energy consumption of a typical cloud by 18%. Correct? So the energy of uh, inefficient scheduling is 25%. If I improve this by 75%, which means that only 6% remains, that's going to be like 18% of the energy consumption of the clouds. So that's a big number. If you tell people about this, they will say, okay, it's going to be a big win. It's going to be a very important step and will be accepted. So you see, bringing up numbers will be convincing. Okay. Samir is writing. Samir, do you have a question? Okay. Now that we know our problem and the general area of research, we need to choose a research title or topic. So title, we also call it topic. So essentially, the title identifies your topic. All right, sure. I mean, you have my number. You can create a group in WhatsApp. I'll try to be in WhatsApp. You know that WhatsApp is filtered in Iran, and accessing it is a little bit difficult. But I think we can do that. You create it and you add me to the group. Okay? Samir, is that okay? Can you actually take responsibility for that? Is WhatsApp okay for everyone? Okay. Okay. All right. So if everybody is agrees, just let me know once you create the group and send it to me. Let's go back to the slide. Choosing a title or a topic for your research. There are a few conditions, important conditions, on choosing the research title or topic. The first one is expertise. You need to have, and your supervisor need to have some expertise in doing that research. So, for example, if you choose to work in the area of speech recognition, recognizing speech from text, you need to have signal processing and speech recognition expertise, or you need to know, you need to be able to acquire that expertise, or your supervisor needs to have some sort of that expertise so that he or she can help you. Otherwise, working in an area, choosing a title, a topic in an area in which you don't have expertise is going to be very, very challenging and difficult to manage, and you may not be even able to finish that. Okay, so expertise is important. Another one is interest. Of course, everybody needs to be interested in the work they do. The third one is the significance of the research. Significance shows the importance of the research area for your country, for your region, for your city, for your organization, and so forth. If it's not a very important issue and your organization doesn't care much, or your whoever your university for whom you are doing the research, then you better stay off and not to waste your time and your supervisor's time. And the last important condition for which we need to be ready before admitting a title is the available research. No sound? Are you sure? So can anybody hear me? Because I think my voice is fine. Okay. Okay, so you think it cuts off? I mean, my network sounds pretty well. I mean, I don't. It's very smooth and clear. Uh, Maybe some of you, your internet connection is weak, or some disruptions, things like that. Mm-hmm. Okay. Here is another example of turning an issue into a problem and selecting the title of your research. Issue: the river's water is polluted. So that's the issue. Problem: questions, okay? 14 questions. If a title gets a so let me see, we actually went two extra. Yeah, here. Okay. Title selection criteria. We have 14 criteria that can be used to make sure that our title is a good title. The first 5 discuss and show whether our title is really practical. We can actually do it. Number 1, are the required tools and equipment present? For example, if you choose to filter water, sewer water to absorb the chemicals and reduce the river water pollution, do you have access to tools, to equipment that are used for that purpose? If you have the tools and equipment, you may be able to do the research. If you don't, you will definitely not be able to do it. Sometimes you need to borrow the equipment. So you think of a server that you can borrow from a friend or another university, or maybe use the cloud system to give you a temporary server for your purpose, for the length of your stay. But you need to think about it. You need to make sure that you have a way to get access to that, to those particulars. So number 1 was, are the required tools and equipment present? The second one is, are the needed scientific and theoretical resources present? Whether there is enough theories, there is enough theoretical background available. If you are going to work on an area that is very new and there is not enough theories available for that area, you need to make sure how you conduct your research and select the title after this research. I discourage you from going to working on such a new area that the work is not very clear defined. Okay, number 3. Is the area and its extent appropriate for the student's abilities? So this is very important actually. When you choose to work in an area, say quantum computing is very turbulent and a very challenging area. The student who doesn't have any knowledge about quantum computing and has not worked in that area and may not be a good choice. Therefore, you better put that aside and try to choose a title that is closer to your abilities. I'm talking to you as a student. Number 4, are the required financial aids and facilities present? So one of the very important aspects of a research is to have enough money to buy materials and spend on any equipment that you need and stuff like that, or even pay the students or assistants who help you conduct the research. The thing is that, unfortunately, many students projects go without any financial aids. Therefore, students choose to only go for projects that do not need um, to buy like hardware and like licensed software and stuff like that. Number 5, is there enough time to conduct the research? This is actually very critical. You need to look at your uh, latest time of defense as a master's student. And if you think that the time you have to do research and you write your thesis doesn't fit into that time frame, then this is probably not a good title. So the title that you chose is not a good title because the time to actually execute it is going to be very lengthy. Number 6 and 7 talk about the interest. Is the title based on a student's interest? If it's not based on your interest, then you should probably stop here. Number 6, is the title chosen with enough awareness and knowledge? So sometimes, or in like in some areas, you are not completely aware of what's going on in a okay, yeah, that's actually a good question. When you're talking about an area, you need to go, as I said in the beginning, you need to go read books about that area, read papers, see if you understand the words and the terms that are uh, um, being used in the book or in the papers. If you don't understand the terms, it means that you need like to maybe take a course for that uh, title, for that area, or maybe just put it aside, change your area. Then reading the papers and books, look at the experiments, the laboratory experiments they do, any kind of experiment actually. If the experiments need a separate expert and you cannot make progress because you don't have the base knowledge, the background knowledge, then you should stop there. But if you think the background is easy to catch and you are very interested, then you need to put more time. Sometimes with the background, your research may take 6 months. Without background, you need to learn the background. It may take a year. So it depends on your own judgment. The third set of questions, 8, 9, and 10, talk about the extent limit. These questions want you to make sure that you know about the limits of these, the limits of your title. Number 8, is the topical extent clear? Which means whether we know, like whether we know how extended the area is. Number 9, is the locational extent clear? Whether we know or not if the title that we choose is limited to a particular location or a set of locations, or is it worldwide? Number 10, is the time limit of the research clear? Whether we know how much time we have in each of these levels, each of the titles. All right. And the last part, but not the least, which is actually very important, is the novelty. How much new work are we proposing? As you know, the master students and PhD students, they both need novelty has 4 questions. Question 11. Will the results lead to enhancing science? The results that you expect, are they expected to, are they meant to improve the science, like the global science? Maybe you provide a new method for filtering water pollution that can improve the sewage water going into the rivers. It can also work for industrial solutions or for old solutions. Okay, so number 12. Is there confidence about the novelty of it? Are you sure? Are you confident that the method that you are proposing is good? Number 13. Will the selected topic solve or alleviate the problem? So this is actually very important. You may bring up a new method to implement in your title, but that method may be helpful for another problem. The method needs to be focused on fixing the problem that you identified. Number 14. Is the topic aimed at addressing a national or regional problem or priority? So, the last question we ask ourselves is whether the topic is addressing a national priority or a national problem. Because sometimes our problem will only fix, our solution will only fix a very small problem that is not the priority of our nation. Then nobody will actually care about your research because it's not the priority of your nation. Questions? Okay. Sorry. Topic selection references. Sometimes you say, okay, all right, I have a general area, I want to work in artificial intelligence, or I want to work in database systems, or I want to work in cloud computing. But then how to choose the actual problem to solve, and how to choose the actual title for that solution. I say that you need to go and look at some references that explicitly highlight existing problems in an area. One of the places that is very useful for finding problems that you may want to solve is the future works proposal in the thesis. So the future work proposals in the thesis is usually the last part of the thesis, where people have completed the research and then they think of some other work that other people can do, but they didn't have time to do it. Why is it important and why is it useful? Because it comes from their experience. They worked on their method, they fixed some issues, like they fixed some speed problems of the database, but they find out, okay, one of other reasons that this database is not as fast as we expect is that, like, the network buffers in the operating system kernel are not efficient, or there are multiple data copies happening. They mention it in your paper. Say, oh, people, if you want to solve problems, I see you can do these works in the future. Hence, the future work. Sometimes you refer, let me actually draw that, so future works. Sometimes you need to talk to your professor or experts in the area, because although nobody has documented it, your professor may know the areas and the problems that you may want to work on. Another way of or another reference of choosing a title is your direct experience. Sometimes you, in your previous experiences, you realized some issues that are not very clear to people. You discovered them. But other than these, there are two more ways of finding a research title. Either research solicitations or research orders. What is a research solicitation? A company publishes a number of research areas that they need people to research in. Solicitation means asking people to, like, whether they can do that or not. Okay, so they publish a document saying we want people to research in the area of reducing the pollution of a river. Oh, people, come help us to find a way to reduce the pollution. The other face of this type of research is a direct research order by another execution. Sometimes, the water power authority in the city may come to the university and ask them to do the research for them. The difference between research solicitation and research order is that a research solicitation is sent out, is broadcast to everybody, and people may or may not respond to it. A research order is directly addressed to the researcher. Somebody calls you and says, okay, I want you to do research on the area of so they directly ask you to do research in some area. That's called a research order. Questions? Okay, great. No, I only need. I don't want you to say no questions or whatever. I only need those people who actually have a question to raise their hand or write yes. I know anybody who doesn't say anything means that they don't have a question. But if you have a question, start writing or raise your hand. Okay, let me see. Okay, a repetitious title. Somebody you sometimes you choose a title and your supervisor tells you no, it's not accepted because it's a repeat. We say that a repetitious title is allowed, but not always. It's allowed in the following title, the reasons, the following cases. Number one, geographical differences of the sample. So maybe you do research on the pollution of the river Tigris uh, in some university. In another university, somebody else goes does research on the pollution of the river Euphrates. So there are two different rivers. Of course, the pollution sources are different, so the solution to remove that pollution is going to also be different because, say for example, in Tigris the pollution may be because of some biological processes, while in Euphrates it could be industrial uh, waste and sewage going into the river. I'm just bringing up examples. Another reason where you may want to choose the same title but doing a new research is here. Non-coverage of some sample populations in previous work. So it means that you studied previous work, looked at previous work, but found that, okay, some of the cases were not covered. As an example, maybe people addressed MySQL speed, database speed, for many databases like Oracle and like MySQL SQL Server, Oracle, but they did not cover MariaDB. So you go bring the same title but for MariaDB. Third reason, repeating in different periods to compare results and historical trends. Sometimes a research results depends on the time of the research. You look at previous work, their work has some results, but because the time has changed in the new times, in today's time, the results could be different. So you have to, maybe you choose the same to to do research on the most recent period of time. The fourth reason, changing method for the same topic. Sometimes you may change the research method, sample collection method, measurement method. Sometimes you may use a different measurement method for your research. That's going to be a new research, although the title could be the same. And the last reason is when you use new theories for going through the same repeats. Okay. And this sentence is important. If you have a generic title, a repetitious title that many people use, or it's close to other people's title, it is important to clarify the reason. And the reason could be one of these 5. But you need to clarify why you used a title that is repetitious. Anyway, if your titles are exactly the same as a previous work's title, try to somehow differentiate. For example, if somebody else had this title, face recognition using deep learning. You read their paper, maybe you want to use another method for deep learning, for face recognition, another deep learning method. Read the paper, find out what method of deep learning, what kind of network they used for deep learning. And instead of repeating their titles, say, instead of saying face recognition using deep learning, change your title with your own network. Face recognition using ResNet. So ResNet is a type of CNN, which is a kind of deep learning network. But maybe they used AlexNet or another type of CNN. This way you differentiate. You can also use the same title, face recognition using deep learning, but then inside your paper you need to clarify the difference. There are 6 questions that we need to ask ourselves when creating a research topic or title. If your title is answering most of these questions, your title is more narrowed down, more specific. If it answers only a few number of these questions, so only 1 or 2 or 3 of them maybe, it is more broad. It is always preferred to have a more narrowed down title, which means that your title needs to answer as many questions as it can from these 6 questions. What are these questions? What? What means the object that you are trying to work on in your research. When is the time that you work on the research? Who is the people in your research, if any? Where is the place of your research? Why? The reason for your method, for your research, and how? The method you use to conduct your research. Example. Look at this title, Comparing Sorry, guys. Yeah, my sound was cut. Okay, so hopefully everybody worked on um, the practice that I gave you and answering these questions. Let's see if your answers are the same as mine. Comparing communication skills of group versus single sport athletes. So we have some athletes, some of them work on single sport, some of them work on group sport. We want to compare their communication skills in National Olympiads of year 2016. Okay, what means what are we going to work on? We are going to work uh, on communication skills. When? What is the time that we are looking at this problem? It's year 2016. So year 2016. Who are the people that we want to work on their communication skills? The athletes. Group sport athletes, single sport athletes, or athletes for short. Where are we going to do this study? Or where did we do this study? In the National Olympiad. Why? This title does not reflect on this question, so there is no answer. How? How are we doing the research? We are comparing between group and single sport. Comparing what? Comparing communication skills. This title is long, which is okay, and it is answering 5 out of 6 questions. So this is a narrower title. It's more specific. Any of these questions that you take out and you remove it from the title, it will be broader. which is not good. The more specific the title, the easier to work to justify, the easier to examine and work on. All right. Okay, let's go. Let's bring up an assignment. Here is an assignment for next week. I give you a general topic. This is not a specific topic. This is a generic short topic. Increasing energy efficiency in data centers. I want you to go and everybody do their own research. And in one single page, one paragraph and title. I want you to write a full title, a problem statement, so specifying the problem, the research objectives for this topic. Some of you may go and all of you need to go and make your title more specific. Of course, the more specific your title is better, but sometimes like for this kind of general topic, you may not be able to answer some of these questions. So maybe you answer only 4 of them or 3 of them. The more you answer, the better your choice. Okay, very good question. I will submit, I will create, let me actually do it right now that you guys are here. If you go to the course,